Bear, what was Sunday night like when you got back and checked your phone? Did you have a lot of congratulatory messages from people through the years? What was that like?
Yeah, people reached out to me from like just years past, even when I was younger. Simi Valley Girls Softball, that's where I started my career, was reaching out to me. And so it's just awesome to see the support and the following and just how much our sport has grown and how well ESPN just represented the sport in all of the regionals.
You don't want to just be happy to be here, but I mean, what kind of a moment is this for the program?
Yeah, I mean, it's exactly what you said. Like we're more than happy to be here, but some of the ladies were saying, well, usually I'm sitting on my couch watching the games at this point, and we're literally one of 16 teams to play. So it's just fun to take a second to recognize that, because you have to be different to be the first to do something like that. And so to be the first and to be a part of it and experience it, I mean, there are no words to describe it, but we're trying our best to be as normal as we are, which this team is anything but normal. We're very different, and we love how different we are.
And your reward is number one. How great is that?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, we want to play the best, and that's what we set out to do. And number one is just a number. We've seen number one go down many times, so it's just a matter of us playing our game, and I think you're going to get really good softball this weekend.
What does it just mean for the development of the program to be like, one of the only teams in a super regional you hosted, just to have that another check mark goal off that box?
I mean, these are the goals that they set out, and this is something that they talked about, this team and then teams before. This really started with Team 19, so the 2020 season that got cut short. They had some big goals of hosting, and when that first RPI ranking came out and we were 7th in the nation, they were on route to do it. So they started this thing, and we've kind of just continued it on. But it's been a tradition here to strive for that, and so now breaking through and getting it, I mean, we hope that to be the tradition now.
You mentioned the first to do it. What do you tell the ladies to keep them on that even keel to move forward and not make it any bigger than it is? Is it kind of that why not us moment now?
Yeah. So we talked about the things, like that's what we do with this program and with this group is we talk about, okay, what are the elephants in the room? And it's great to talk about it, and some people think like, oh, don't let them think about that, don't put that in their heads, but I think, okay, well, they could just be thinking it on their own and not really talk it out. So they asked about what's the crowd going to be like. They asked, how does the super regional run? They've asked all those things, and we talked it out. We went through it, and we said it's going to be tough. There's a lot of odds against us, but I like our odds in those moments because they're feisty. So, we're going to keep playing our game and stick to us and have fun.
Coach, you adapt. They have so much power. You have to change anything to try to counteract that?
I mean, they have power, but there's pitchers that have shut their power down, and every team has power potential. So I think it's we've faced some really good lineups this year, and so it's just a matter of getting ahead of batters, throwing our pitches. They haven't faced us, we haven't faced them, so I think it's it's a good matchup, and we've got other pitchers in our bullpen that we haven't really thrown much, but are still good enough to get in there and get some outs too. So we'll stick to our game and keep adapting and adjusting as the game goes.
Coach, only 2 teams this season have beaten Oklahoma. Have you gotten a chance to just scout the Sooners to see what this team would have to do in order to maybe make them the third?
Yeah, well, we've watched both of those games actually when they were occurring, because it's always fun and exciting to see good games, and when the best of the best is playing, you're going to be watching. But we're scouting, and there's things that we can do that are similar to the 2 teams that beat them, and there's things that we can do that I think are a little different than other teams that face them.
You were busy with your own regional, but number 2 FSU lost their regional. Does that kind of give you guys confidence, like it is just a number up there and anything can happen this time of the year?
Yeah, absolutely. I said it before, the game doesn't know who's supposed to win, right? On paper, people believe those things, but the game doesn't know. So we just keep doing our thing, and just play hard softball.
The stats obviously could jump out when you talk about Oklahoma, but just at first glance, what kind of jumps out at you about, why are they so good?
Well, I think really, the big thing is they get their runs like in big clumps, and so that's the big thing is slowing the game down, and that's something we've talked about. It doesn't matter who we face, you want to eliminate big innings, and slowing the game down, getting leadoff outs, getting outs when you can, collecting outs throughout the entire game is going to be our thing, and handling the ball well. So, we talked about like we could have a home run or two hit off of us, but that's okay. We could do that too. So, and that's happened. You've seen that against us where we've given up a home run and we come back and score a run or two. So, again, they're a team, they're human beings, and they have to execute just like everyone else does.
What did you learn about your team? Maybe more so in that Saturday game. It was down to the wire. I mean, you wouldn't have been eliminated, but you didn't want to lose it, knowing what you would have had to do to come back and win it. But talk about that moment and come back and winning that one, because that really is probably the reason you were in a good spot on Sunday.
We definitely played. I know we almost played enough innings for 2 games, but we definitely played 2 different games. The 5th inning, or until the 5th inning, we played pretty tight, not loose like our normal selves. Pretty tight, and so once we opened up and really did our thing, I mean, coaching is pretty easy at that point. It's just a matter of sending them when they get to you, or calling a pitch or two here. But that's what I really noticed is when they figured out like, oh, okay, we're in it, we can play our game, we're feeling loose. Bring someone off the bench to come in and tie the game up. It's that's this team, and so I don't know that I only learned that on Saturday, but it just reminds me that this team is truly 1 through 22, and they have worked so hard, and we have depth in our lineup and depth in our roster, and it's hard to beat us with just one thing, one pitcher, one defense. It's hard to beat this offense and this team. So that's what I learned.
I know you said on Sunday, as a player or coach, you've never been to Oklahoma. You've never played in Norman, right? So are you looking forward to that personally, just the opportunity to play one of the storied programs in college softball?
Yeah, so I get the honor to work with USA here every once in a while. And this past summer, I flew into OKC, and I landed, and I was like, wait a minute. So I took a picture of the outside of the airport, and I sent it to Team 21. And I said, ladies, this will be the last time I fly to OKC by myself. You're going to be by me. And it just so happens we're going to be flying to OKC tomorrow. So it's just awesome for, again, it's a cool thing to send, and a cool picture to send, and a cool idea. But when they made it a reality, there are no words to describe that. It's just, wow.
And when you get on the team bus, when you leave, are you going to drive by the stadium in OKC on your way to Norman? Is that something you might do and show the team, where they could be playing a week later?
We might. Just depends on when we get in, and we've got a couple flights that have to get in at the same time, and so that hasn't worked well for this team. Our travel has been interesting, and so we've already talked about it, and we're prepared, and we're excited. I think the more that happens to us, the more this team just gets stronger and better. So if the opportunity comes, we'll do it.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank
Yeah,
you,
Good luck
Coach.
to you.
Thank you.
Great to see you in person.
Yes.